Hello, my name is Dr. Sam Wang. I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician and medical toxicologist. And today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about a new resource guide called the Toxicology Resource Guide that was a collaboration between Illuminate Colorado and the Colorado Department of Human Services Office of Children, Youth, and Family Division of Child Welfare. The URL is cotoxguide.org, coloradotoxguide.org. This resource guide was developed to support Colorado child welfare professionals, healthcare providers, in understanding substances, potential clinical effects, utility and application of various toxicology testing to enhance your practice into determining child welfare. Main contributors besides myself are Ann Ald, Becky Tolpa, and Jane Woodard. So this is the homepage of the Toxicology Resource Guide. You can see the entire guide is searchable. It has a searchable function to search things by signs or symptoms or the substance or the test itself you're using. As you go through this resource guide, you'll notice there are these red light bulbs that will be throughout the guide. These will be critical thinking tips that may help guide decision-making in child welfare or have practice implications. The top tabs here, about, toxicology tests, signs, by substance, and frequently asked questions will be your main searchable options. Under the About tab, under the About This Publication, this gives you who has contributed to this resource guide and the main contributors. Next, you'll see the Glossary of Terms. This has many of the scientific definitions of many of the clinical symptom findings or laboratory tests that have been used throughout this guide. And finally, under this tab, there's a Find Assistance tab. This is where you'll find additional resources, including options for reference laboratories if you need resources on evaluating where you can send confirmatory tests, a database called LACMed to evaluate what scientific information on drugs passing into breast milk, and then additional resources for information and consultation. And this includes Susie Morris at the Colorado Department of Human Service Offices of Children, Youth, and Families Division of Child Welfare, Illuminate Colorado, Child Abuse and Neglect Expert Staffing Team, the Kemp Center for the Prevention of Treatment and Child Abuse and Neglect START Team, and myself at Children's Hospital Colorado, and the Substance Use Puzzle Resource, Putting Together the Pieces. You can use these links to find us, or alternatively, you can enter your contact information where we will contact you. The next tab is Toxicology Tests. This has general guidelines about toxicology testing, types of testing such as urine, blood, hair, options for neonatal testing such as meconium and umbilical cord, how to interpret testing in children, and how to interpret testing results, both positive and negative. The next tab is Signs. These are common signs and symptoms of toxidromes or toxicities found from ingestion or use of various substances of abuse, such as sedative hypnotics, sympathomimetics, opioids, hallucinogenics, and marijuana. Alternatively, you can search this guide by substance. The next tab evaluates by substance. So for example, you can search alcohol. And under alcohol, it'll give you sources of alcohol, how people use or abuse alcohol, the potential observed clinical symptoms, what we know about the risks in prenatal exposure, and breastfeeding. We'll also go through various ways to interpret drug testing. So for alcohol we'll look at breathalyzer, urine, blood, and other prenatal forms of testing. And finally, under the last tab, are frequently asked questions that have come up in our line of work when involving toxicology testing or drug-exposed children. You can see here under general guidelines, we mentioned some important tips we feel when evaluating children who may or may not have a drug exposure. What is important to know is the limitations of the drug screen you'll be using or evaluating. Positive drug screens obviously have concerns for drug exposure, but can have many false positives, and alternatively can have many false negatives. So it is very important to know when drug screen becomes negative, how to interpret that in the context of the scenario. Not only do we use the drug screen to help interpret the welfare of a child, but it is a piece of the puzzle when evaluating the safety and the impact of drug use around the child. And so this guideline hopefully will help you better understand both the results of drug screening and drug tests and what you can do to confirm or further evaluate the potential for drug exposure. Thanks for your attention today. We hope this toxicology guide provides valuable information to your practice, specifically how to interpret toxicology testing, both positive and the importance of negative testing. Remember, toxicology testing is a small piece of the puzzle in helping you determine the impact to the child and evaluating additional safety concerns.